5 ways to stop overthinking. We've all done it. We just lay our head on the pillow, all tucked in and cozy, and then our brain flips on like a light switch. And before we know it, we're tossing and turning, trying to shut our mind off so we can get some rest. But we can't find the off button. Maybe this happens during our waking hours as well. Our brain simply will not shut off and stop chewing on a mistake we made at work that day, or an unknown outcome of a medical test we're waiting for, or a fight we had with our significant other. I've heard this called monkey mind. I call it sheer torture. I have not found a magic off button, but I have found some effective ways that help get rid of monkey mind so you can rest easy at night and have peace of mind during the day. So let's talk about why our brains get stuck. I have some news. Our brains are literally wired to overthink. Overthinking has a healthy biological origin. I know, what kind of sick joke is that? Let me explain. Our brains are always scanning for danger, even if we aren't aware of it. Our lower reptilian brain is constantly working in the background, so we're not eaten by a lion or something. Our brains are also wired to make sense of our environment and the people in it. As a therapist, I ask my clients to do a lot of imagery work. So envision your mind as an expansive space in which you can walk. Now picture a bunch of metal filing cabinets with drawers. These are what scientists call schemas. Now hang with me. Our brains are scanning our daily situations so they can file whatever incoming information we're receiving into one of these lovely cabinets. This typically happens without missing a beat, and we are not aware of it in the slightest. But what happens when, heaven forbid, we experience something new and there's not an existing file for it? This can throw us into a bout of overthinking. So, for example, you're a parent and you blink twice, and your cute little baby is now 16 and driving. You've never been a parent to a 16-year-old before. There's no file for that. So, what does your brain do with these new situations? If not managed, our brains will work overtime. This is when the what ifs start coming at you. What if he gets into an accident? What if another driver hits him? What if he's with irresponsible friends and they distract him? What if he forgets to fill his gas tank? What if his car spontaneously combusts? Our brains become scenario making machines. It is actually quite impressive if you think about it. It's like a high tech computer program designed to predict any and all negative outcomes. But can this help? The answer is yes and no. It can help if we learn to manage it. This process allows us to solve problems. It can prepare us for potential problems as well. So, in our driving baby scenario, we can educate our child about safe driving habits. There is a method to our brain's madness. It just wants to stop something bad from happening. Do you remember the Terminator movies? Or for you younger people, Iron Man might resonate. These characters saw the world in great detail. The Terminator viewed his environment through a crosshair to home in on danger and lock in on the target. I kind of envision our subconscious brains as seeing the world this way, protecting us from all sorts of danger. So when we look at the brain in this context, it makes sense that we can get caught up in overthinking. However, if overthinking is left unchecked, our brains can run away from us, leading to anxiety and depressive symptoms. So, what can we do about this analysis paralysis? Well, there's a lot we can do. Let's start by looking at good old fashioned problem solving strategies. Since we know our brains are trying to help us out, we can take a step back and ask the question, what is my brain trying to tell me? And what can I do about it? I'll say right up front, this requires radical acceptance because it's likely that some of these situations or aspects of a situation will be outside of our control. So, viewing a problem through the lens of what can I control and what is outside of my control can put your mind at ease right away. Picture a circle. Imagine everything within your control being inside of this circle. We can control to some degree our thoughts, the way we communicate, our own expectations, and our feelings. We cannot, however, control these things regarding others. This includes how they will react to us, and that's an important one to remember. Second tip, practice being mindful. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the moment without judgment. Mindfulness is the exercise that builds your mental and emotional flexibility muscle. We all know that exercise is good for the body, right? If we lift weights on a consistent basis, the muscles we are working will become stronger. Mindfulness works this very same way. It is not necessary to spend hours a day meditating to reap the benefits of mindfulness. A little goes a long way, and consistency is key. Research shows the more you practice being in this state, the less anxious you will be. You will also be able to be more engaged with others, more in tune with your environment. You'll experience more joy and have greater ability to regulate your thoughts and your emotions. In turn, you'll experience overall greater peace of mind. There is even evidence that practicing mindfulness can improve your concentration. I would also like to add what mindfulness is not. Mindfulness is not something you can get wrong. I have heard too many clients say that they gave up trying because their brain would not shut off. This is the paradoxical thing about mindfulness. Remember those Chinese finger traps you played with as a kid? The more you pull on your fingers to release them, the more trapped you are. The more you try to make your thoughts go away, the more thoughts you will have. So don't give up. Be an observer of your thoughts, as if they are clouds floating across the sky. For more on this, watch my mindfulness videos. Tip number 3, set aside time to worry. You're probably thinking, what did she just say? Yes, I'm saying to worry on purpose. But here's the catch, you can only worry during this time period. So let's say you decide to designate an hour after work to allow your brain to worry. Find a quiet spot and set a timer. Then tell your brain to have at it. You are giving your brain permission to catastrophize. It can filter out the positive and jump to whatever conclusions it would like. You have control over this process, but when the timer goes off, you must stop worrying, period. Tip number 4, examine your self talk. Find out if you are asking too many why questions. This can be a red flag indicating that your thinking is cyclical and abstract, and it can keep you stuck. This one is simple. Once you identify that you're asking why a lot, shift your thinking and begin to ask yourself questions that start with what, when, and how more often. You'll be surprised at the results. And finally, tip number 5, get a notebook and pen and keep it on your side table next to your bed. Do not use your phone for this exercise. You probably already know this, but exposure to blue light from screens can interrupt our natural sleep rhythms. Blue light boosts alertness, and this is not what we want right before bed. So, back to that notebook. Many of my clients, and myself included, wake up during the night with something on their mind. There goes our brain again, trying to solve problems. But you don't have to accept this. Write down that item you forgot to get at the grocery store, or what you want to say to your boss tomorrow, or the point you forgot to make in an argument with your spouse. After you've written it down, rest assured you will handle this tomorrow when you are feeling fresh and alert after a good night's sleep. I recently saw a meme that said, "Do not believe anything your brain says after 9 p.m." I think this is great advice. In my own experience, much of what I read in the light of day seems pretty trivial. I have a hard time understanding why in the world it felt so intense at 4 a.m. Apparently, our brains are wired for this as well. As I mentioned earlier, there is no off button for our mind, but hopefully, the exercises I've given you will allow you to, at the very least, install a dimmer switch, equipping you to take the edge off of overthinking. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Take care.